So far, we haven't talked too much about changing the font size, but we will in this video.
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
We already know that we can change the font size from the control panel, but there's a quicker way. If we use the combination of Shift Control plus greater than or less than symbol, we will make the text bigger or smaller. So in a matter of a second we can make the font really big or really small. This trick is combined with size leading option in our type preferences. So as an example, if I go to the Edit, Preferences and Type, in the first box here I can change the size leading value to anything I want. So if I change it to something crazy like 15 points, click OK. Now every time I use the Control plus Shift plus greater than, I will make the font bigger by 15 points or smaller by 15 points if I use Control plus Shift plus less than. But that's a bit too much for me. I'll go back to 2 points. Okay, a few minutes ago I mentioned the paragraph option that sits right here on the right side of the control panel. It mainly serves, well, paragraphs of text, but we can use it also with a single line of text. Let me show you a little trick here. You probably are familiar with aligning text to the left, center, and right. It works just like in any text editor. But in Illustrator, it can really help when changing the font size, especially in terms of logo design. I'll clean up the artboard first. So let's type something like the logo. Yeah, the logo. And let's create a circle on top of it. So we got a really simple logo design. Really simple. So as default, our text is aligned to the left, and that means that whenever I change its size, it changes in relation to the left side. But as you probably noticed, size modification breaks the composition. I mean, the text is not aligned right with the circle. So if I change the text to be aligned to center, reposition it, and change its size, now you can see that the alignment remains as intended. Nice trick, huh? But if for some reason you don't want to use any of the techniques I just showed you, you could use the scale tool as well. So if I make it active by pressing the S key on the keyboard, I can scale the text up or down. So there's really a handful of techniques that let us change the font size, and which one you'll use is really up to your working habits. Okay, so these are the basic, let's call them operations on type in Illustrator. Now we will quickly take a look at creating text in paragraphs, which for logo design is not that important, but it's a good skill to have in your portfolio. Okay, I'll clean up the artboard first. I'll select everything by using Ctrl A and hit backspace. Now, to create paragraphs of text, it's best to, using the type tool, click and drag to create a text box like so. I'll make it fairly big so everything will be visually easier for you. Now I need to fill it with some text. I guess I could go with good old lorem ipsum, but that's a bit boring, don't you think? So to make it less boring, I'll go to a site called meettheipsums.com. And here you can find different dummy texts. I've decided to go with Hipster Ipsum, and I copied a few paragraphs and pasted them. Now we can use the paragraph functions from the control panel. So I'll click Paragraph, and now I get standard alignment options like align to left, center, and right. But also we can make only the last line align to left, to center, or to the right. Or we could justify all the lines. Below we can indent the whole paragraph from the left or from the right. We can also indent just the first line of text. We can also increase or decrease space before or after a paragraph. And if we keep this option here checked, we will hyphenate the text. Quite a few options, right? Well, but that's not all. We can have even more control over the paragraphs from the type menu. If I go to Type and Area Type Options, I get a whole new set of choices I can play around with to change the appearance of the paragraphs. So, as an example, I can change the dimensions of the text box, or I can change the whole layout of the paragraphs by increasing the amount of rows and columns. But as I said, in logo design, you probably won't be using paragraphs. You would if you were creating some publications with Illustrator, which you can, of course. From logo design standpoint, creating type on a path is much more important, and we will look into that in the next video.